81 Test veteran for the All Blacks. Courses all over Sky TV. Presenting it, Justin Marshall joins us out of Nelspruit in one of the most significant, important matches I've been saying for the All Blacks since the build-up to the 2011 Rugby World Cup final. You agree?
Look, I don't disagree with you. I think there's no doubt in my mind that this is one of the most significant matches the All Blacks have played in a decade at least. And that's been formulated by obviously pressure coming out of the Irish series, everything that's been going on internally within not only New Zealand Rugby Union, but obviously the All Blacks as well. There's been a changing of the guard with the coaching group. And then you've got the players also under pressure because they've underperformed and they've not executed under the usual expectations that we are accustomed to. And then finally you throw into the mix the fact that they've got to come to South Africa, which is one of the most difficult things you can do as a rugby player, to come and face the Springboks on their home turf when they're a good established side. So, if you think about it, this test match is massively significant and massively significant to this team and how they progress forward from this first test onto the rest of the year, but most importantly, the second test at Ellis Park the following week.
And if people want a miracle cure, well, the players we've got are the players we've got. There's one or two additions there, one or two changes that have been made. Do you like the fact that essentially what they're saying, Foster and the rest of his coaches, Ian, is just saying, hey, look, you guys have dug yourself into this hole, dig yourself out of it? Because that, to me, says everything about the All Blacks, Justin. You've been in that position too, mate. Come on, you lads. This is up to you to do it.
Yeah, again, it's valid, the question, but it's one way or the other, Devs, if you put it perfectly honest. You're either going to go, okay, you guys got yourselves into this mess, so you're going to have to dig yourself out of it. And you're going to do that because I trusted the selections that I made and the game plan that I was prepared to take into the Irish series. We didn't get that right, but I still believe that we have the ability to, with this group of players and with that game plan, to get to where we need to be. Or do you make the concession that it wasn't right? What we're trying to achieve is not working. And quite clearly the Irish series showed that. So not only do we need to change a few personnel and make some positional changes and look at the team that we're putting out there, but we also have to revolutionise the way we're going to play. So he's done, obviously, the first and foremost, which you asked the question on, which is he said, I believe in what we were trying to achieve. We didn't get it right, but it's still there. I believe it's still there, and I'm going to give those players another opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and when just listening to you saying that, Justin Marshall, 81 Test veteran in Nelspruit for us. Look, and when you're saying that, mate, I'm straight away thinking, okay, can I refer back to that first test and take out of that, some of the things which may work against South Africa, and that is playing the game at pace, that is taking advantage of those opportunities, that is being a killer in the relentlessness that the All Blacks can display. However, to do that, you've actually got to have that confidence, A, to chance your arm like we did when they made mistakes. B, you've actually got to be in the game and in the wrestle. And even in that first test, if you remember, 20 minutes, they owned that first 20 minutes. So that's what worries me the most. Can we actually get enough momentum? Can we bend their line? Can we get enough ball? Can we actually dictate the game, I suppose I'm saying. That's what I worry about.
Yep, so do I. And how the hell do you come out of your shell when you're well and truly inside it? That's the hardest part. Confidence is a massive thing in any sport. And there's no doubt that this team is not only feeling the pressure, they're terribly lacking in confidence because of their performances, because of the fact that individuals are under the pump, the team's under the pump, the coach is under the pump, the game plan's being questioned. So there's lots of exterior things coming into the environment, and how does that make you then be able to be expressive and go out there and play without risk? And that's probably the biggest thing that the point that I want to make is, confidence is about believing your instinct and believing in the way that you see the game in front of you. And that does involve, to a certain extent, taking risk. And taking risks are calculated. When you're at All Black level, you take a risk. These players are good enough that they don't deem it to be that much of a risk because they can make something good out of it. But when you're lacking on confidence, when everything's being scrutinised, all of a sudden, do you slip that pass? Do you put that little chip kick in ahead? Do you gamble because the consequences of it being wrong are monumentally different than when the team's winning. And that's where they've got to be able to go, you know what, bugger it. We know the way that we can break this team down. We know they're bigger than us, more physical, but they're not as quick as us. They're not as fit as us. Are we prepared to use the ball and move them around? Are we prepared to go out there and play a style of game that suits us and be ambitious with the risk that the odd thing will go wrong, but we can handle that?
Look, I keep harking back to an interview I did with Richie McCaw at the beginning of 2010, and we lost 3 times to the Box in 2009. I know you can remember that. And then, and I was just warbling on about how good they were and everything. And he stopped me halfway through and he said, Martin, he said, they're not supermen. He said, they're just guys playing rugby in green jerseys. And I was quite sort of taken aback by that. But his sort of attitude was, we're going to go out there. We don't care, who they are. We're the All Blacks. We're going to do what our thing is. Do our guys have that confidence as well? I mean, we always talk, we go, the big bogey man, it's up on the veldt and it's the Springboks. If we go in thinking like that, Justin, we can't win the game.
No, and we are quite a green side. There's quite a few players in this team that, as All Blacks, wouldn't have been here and played South Africa on their home soil, and particularly under this sort of pressure. So, it is about that mentality of, you know what, it's you versus us. We've got massive history between us, but we've got massive history because we go out there and we play our styles and we're combative, and it's, best team wins on the day. And if they've got that attitude, then they're more than capable of going out there and winning this test match and winning both test matches. It's just about whether or not they've got the ambition to play. And that's what I want to see from this side. The worrying thing for me, Devs, the messages that I've been hearing recently are the ones that concern me. And it's a little bit off what you just said about Richie McCaw. Continually talking about how good Ireland were defensively, how good they were at the breakdown, how good they were when they got into the 22. They were super efficient. They always came away with points, how good their driving maul was. We never talk about the opposition.
Right.
The opposition we respect, but we're all about the way we play. The opposition usually talk about the All Blacks, saying they're a great side. We know what they produce. We know what they deliver. We will have to be at our best to beat them. That's what the opposition always say. And we know as All Blacks to a degree, and this is not arrogance, that we could probably be around 85% on a day and still win a test. Well, that's not happening anymore.
No.
What we've got to do is then get our heads around the fact that this is a very, very, very experienced, very good Springbok side with a bench that I'm looking at thinking, oh my God, if they started any one of those guys on the bench in the test match, they'd still be a very good starting 15. So what we've got to do is go, all right, well, we'll give you that, but we are still as good as you, and we can still win. Have they got the mentality to do that? From what I've seen this week, we're at the same hotel. We're walking amongst them. I was sitting out on my balcony today having a beer, watching them swim in the pool, thinking I'm glad I'm retired, not you having to face the Springboks on Saturday. And I think 30 degrees it's going to be.
Wow.
But they have had a great week. They seem confident. They seem seem in a good place. And the signs are very, very good that they are incredibly determined to win this test match. So, hey, if an All Black team is like that, that's a really massive positive for them leading into the game.
Justin Marshall on the platform for us. We know what they're going to bring, and they're not going to bring anything other than what we know they're going to bring. They're going to box kick like mad, aren't they? They're going to smash into the breakdowns like psychos. I mean, I don't, unless of course they're going to completely flummox us and go, hey, we're going to spin the ball wide. But I don't know, I just can't see that. Maybe they will surprise us. But do you expect them to do what they're really good at doing, which is why they're so good, because they just stick to their knitting?
Yeah, I do. But that makes them, to a degree, reasonably predictable. And I always remember when we came here, and I remember it from when I was young. I was 22 years old, and we came here in 96. And I looked around my dressing room, and in particular, the leaders in that team, the likes of Sean Fitzpatrick and Michael Jones and Zinzan Brooke, and they said, look, they are a big side, and they are physical. But all they said to us youngsters who had not been here much and really experienced it a great deal was, if you hit them hard, they will hurt, and they'll still fall over if you hit them properly, and they will get up, and you will get up. But they are no different if you get everything right, if you get your technique right. And predictable is easy to defend. I know that sounds bizarre, but
Right.
it is.
Yeah.
If you don't show balance and you become one-dimensional, then you can be picked off. And so the All Blacks, it's all about, righto, it's not about going, I'm going to knock you back 2 metres when you run at me. It's about, I'll knock you over and I'll get back up, and you come again and I'll knock you over and I'll get back up. You might concede an inch or 2 inches or half a metre at times if someone hits you a little bit on your blind side. But in general, if the Springboks don't show better, more balance in their game, and the All Blacks are onto it and front up, then that gives us the edge, I reckon, because we can show more improvise. We can be more improvised than they can, and we can open them up when we've got the ball.
All right, a couple of quick questions and we'll let you go. And I always thank you so much for your time, mate. I know it's late over there and things like so are you pleased with the selections? We started off by talking like that. I mean, we could kind of debate one or two of these, but is this, I mean, are you happy then with what you're seeing in the 15 and the 8 on the bench?
Look, I believe we needed to possibly make more changes. I still think we've got players playing out of position, and I've banged that drum now for quite a long while about this All Black team. But I do believe that there are areas that Ian Foster's been backed into a corner, and I have sympathy for that. And some of those are in the midfield, some of those are in the loose forwards through injuries and players not available. So I think he's gone with the side that he trusts, that he knows that the game plan that he wants to get to, inevitably, which has to be looming very quickly, he can get out of these players that he's selected. Is it the team that I would select? No. There are players I still feel are playing out of position, but I do still feel that this is a side, under the circumstances, that can still go out there and win this test match.
3 a.m, mate, you've got to get up. I mean, here in New Zealand, you've got to get up at 3 a.m. That's part of it. I mean, I started watching the box at 76, mate. Get up at 3 a.m, and it's because you have to go through a bit of pain as a fan on that night. That's what I feel. If you go through a bit of pain, get up, it's cold, then you actually got it. I don't know, it's a weird thing, but I just feel it's important.
Yeah, and there really isn't any bigger theatre in the game than the All Blacks versus the Springboks in South Africa. You know, as a rugby player, I've been here, I've done it, and these players will know it, and any player before will tell you as well, and any player in the future will. When you come to South Africa, they have massive respect. We've got great history between each other, but this is a place where rugby is at its most pure. And, there will be drama, and there has been in recent years. There's been test matches that have gone down to the wire. It's physical, it's combative, it's fast, and it's just a must-watch. I'm so looking forward to this game.
Yeah, same, mate. Absolutely.
Believe me, mate. I believe the All Blacks can get the job. I just think that it's in our heartbeat, it's in our blood, that this is what we need. This sort of game is exactly what this group of players need to start putting heating that ship in the right direction.
Finally, just as a question, and we don't talk anything about, sort of personal stuff. We always just talk about the sport. But I just want you to explain briefly to the listeners the perfect life you have, that you can just get up and say, darling, kids, I'm off for 2 weeks. I'm off to Africa for some work and stuff, and just walk out the door and it's perfectly okay. The rest of us, mate, I mean, I can't go down the dairy without checking and writing a timesheet and everything else.
Yeah, work is work, Dev. Believe me, I know that it doesn't look like that sometimes, but I'm very lucky in the work that I do. But again, like any New Zealander, if I wasn't here and being able to be here and enjoy the sport that is my passion and be a part of it in a different capacity than when I was as a player, I'd be getting up with you, like all the All Black fans and the rest of the country, at 3 a.m. to watch these guys play and willing them on for a win.